man, that's rubbish. That's rubbish.
Well, hello. Welcome to Starting Stand Up. My name is David Walton. Thank you for joining. Starting Stand Up is basically an audio journal of my quest to become good at stand up. And I'm in New York City. I'm back. I'm here writing. We're calling it a comedy camp. And my good friend Jeremy's sister, who's been on the show, is here with me. He had a few days off from work, so we're throwing out that kind of 22-year-old unemployed energy right now. And I got to see Dave Chapelle last night. I went to see a band first, but today has been all writing. It's a day of all writing, and then a very exciting guest. I think a lot of people have responded to me just not talking the whole time, which I completely understand. And I'm very pleased to report that next week or the following week, depending on how hard this will be to edit, because all technological disaster, but a very meteoric rising social media star is going to come on the show. And it was really fun to listen to him talk about what this ride has been like for him. He's basically had a job in finance and then started posting videos, and within 6 months had hundreds of thousands of followers. He's incredibly funny and talented. He's a lovely guy. And so I'm excited to share the hour or so interview we just did. And he came over. It was in person. It was really fun. And it was really fun to see a young guy who kind of took a pivot in his life and is following his dreams and is having success. And it's almost feels like tip of the rocket ship. And I just love it. And so it made me think about as I think about this show and what it is, or this podcast, and I've always said that this thing is morphing and developing and growing, and I don't know where it's going. There's no real strategy except that I commit to a weekly journal entry, if you will, and it sort of came organically today. It's like I really would love to interview people who are and just talk about origin stories, the start. It's very helpful for young people to see how things develop and how people get their breaks. And so while I do like an entire life and of humans, if I had my dream, every comic I love that makes me laugh, literally every single comic that I see at the Comedy Cellar, that I see online, I would love to talk to them about their beginnings, really focus on the beginning, the starting stand-up. But I'd also like to expand it to, just anyone who has comic sensibilities, whether it's online or on the stand-up scene, anywhere. So I'm going to put that out into the universe. And so if you are listening to this and you think you know someone, it doesn't have to be anyone famous, honestly, but just people who are doing stuff that, you think have a cool starting story. Please hit me up. I would love to interview them. So we're going to ramp up more interviews, which I think will be a huge relief to a lot of you. I will also say it's been very freeing watching people on, social media not care about production value. As someone who was born in 1978 and grew up where everything has to look good, like in the movies and TV, it has to look really good and expensive. And it's kind of freeing that this younger generation doesn't seem to give they don't care. They don't care about production value. They just want good stuff. And so in that vein, I would like to report right now that because of technical issues, today's podcast is being done on an iPhone. And I'm just talking into an iPhone. So if it sounds okay, I encourage you to take that as a good thing. If it sounds bad, well, I thank you for being here and white-knuckling your way through this. This is not going to be a very long episode, but it's going to be back to the roots of just a real journal entry. And again, seeing Dave Chapelle, I got to talk about him. I caught about 20 minutes of him at 1:30 in the morning. He had done an hour. We went to a different show, and at the Comedy Cellar they have whenever you go to the bathroom, they have the 5 screens of everyone performing, and it's sort of a simulcast. And I was like, oh my God, I miss Dave Chapelle. How did I miss that? Of course, it's always a secret when he's going to do there, but he's prepping for his SNL. I think he's hosting this weekend on Saturday. So he was prepping, but when I got there at 1:30, and I'm not kidding, at 1:30 in the morning, I was there for 20 minutes. He had 4 tequilas a joint and half a pack of cigarettes. I don't know how he did it that fast. And if I had consumed that, the level of brain debt, the level of nonsense that would be coming out of my mouth would be extraordinary. And I may do an episode where I try to match Dave Chapelle's intake and record it for you to see what it's like for a kind of very low-level brain to consume that, and then to have an other world. He's an alien. I now believe he's from another world, another planet, because he had so much in his system, and he was razor sharp. He was making this crowd scream laugh. Like, I don't think I can recall any specific jokes. He was doing crowd work and stuff, but there was that sense of, like, I'm a tennis player. I love tennis. I love tennis. It's my number one sport at the moment. It's sort of a recent kind of middle-aged thing. And I sometimes, it's like when you play someone who's worse than you feel really good. And then you play someone who's just like one level up and you just get destroyed. And it's very discouraging. It sort of feels like, you go in this hopeless phase. And I got a little pang of that as I watched Chapelle. And that might sound ridiculous, but it's like, the only reason I'm doing this is because I think I have the delusion that I can be really good at it, that I can get pretty far in stand-up. And when I watched Chapelle, I was like, I can't even remotely go there. So what's the point? But that's a stupid thing to think. You just got to do what you enjoy. And this is a challenge. As a journal, I think one of my biggest, it's not a mistake that I've been doing, but there's a sense that it's really hard, almost like you're a tinker on a car or a motorcycle. These stand-up sets, it's a lot of like technical work, almost like getting rid of things, like realizing that you don't need to say almost anything. Where I want to talk about, let's say, the concept of kids needing more shame. This generation has too little shame, and I want to do like 5 or 10 minutes just exploring that idea. And in that exploration, none of it's really that funny. And then you realize that in the stand-up vein, all I have to say is, kids just don't have enough shame. And then I go right into the jokes. And so that's been a pattern of this. For those of you who've been around and listening to all the episodes, you'll hear me say it over and over again. It's just realizing how little you have to say. And it's for all us who tell stories at dinner tables and stuff like that, you'll notice with the people who can control a room and everyone's like sort of riveted and not losing attention. And we all know, like, when I tell a story, I'm so sensitive to people. Like, I can tell, unless I'm hammered drunk, I can tell that, like, I'm losing people. And it's because I'm too verbose, as you can see. But it's a skill. And if you do value telling good stories, and you value, being good company and a good conversationalist, it's like, oh yeah, like, this is people's time. You become a little aware of, like, when the details are extraneous and when you're just saying too much, and you can lean it up. And I think the great storytellers, they just have a knack for knowing what's necessary to say and what to leave out. They're like real-time editors in a way, and I'm not. So you're getting privy to this sort of verbal diarrhea, and I thank you for that. I always thank you for that. How is your venery going? Has the new year started well, by the way? Yeah. I always feel like, not enough, but that's just me. And I genuinely hope everyone's getting enough cuddles and enough contact and is feeling it. And if you aren't, I really do hope that you'll find ways to get that venery going in a way that's good for your soul. Okay, so that's the update. Tomorrow, actually today, when this comes out, it comes out every Thursday. I'm going to be doing 3 open mics in the city with this material that I really, way, way more than I ever have really honed writing. And it's exciting. I've got that feeling of like, I think I have, I really have now maybe 6-7 minutes. And so the goal when I started this thing was to get a 20-minute set going. And I would say today, in a really cool way, celebrating our wins, today feels like that 20-minute kind of goal is possible in this next year. The mystery guest that I interviewed today, his manager came along, young buck, and he said something interesting. This guy's been cranking daily content for the whole year. He's a real process over results, and his manager calls the year they just had year 0, and now they're just beginning year 1. And I like that. I feel like everything up to this point, up to tonight for me, is year 0. And in a weird way, I feel like I'm turning the page and we're just beginning. We're just starting now. So I'll leave it there. That's my journal entry. It's a short one this week. I thought about putting together this interview, but we actually videoed it. So it'll be my first one that can kind of coexist on YouTube. And it's going to take a lot of work. Again, I don't have any producer. I'm doing all of this myself, and it's a tremendous amount. This will be a big lift, but I'm going to use it as an opportunity to get like branding on the video and just try to get a little bit more of a professional operation. That is my commitment, and it's really what I owe this very generous, very talented, very funny. I'm a huge fan of this guy. I discovered him when I re-engaged with Instagram, and he was one of the first videos that kind of came in through the algorithm. I immediately followed him. So it was a real trip to all of a sudden be in his presence and having a grand time. And he's a friend now. I mean, we've got some friends in common. And so it was super fun, and I'm really excited. And I really have the bug now to talk to people and to get into people's start. So once again, if you know anyone that you think would be a good fit for me to talk with and at any level, please hit me up on direct message, or if you have my phone number or email. I'm all for ideas. So thank you for listening. This has been a really raw, uncut journal entry, and my goal today was to not edit a single thing, and I think I have. So thank you for joining. If this was your first starting stand-up episode, thank you for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I hope all your dreams come true, and I hope that you once again live a life full of adventure, fun, peace, and venery. All right. See you next week. Very exciting.